We'll be doing, we are going to render all three of these figures onto one design. So we made the cube, now we're going to create these. So the first thing you go is create document, because we already have our folder, which is lesson 2.2. And this one we're just going to call solids underscore whatever your last name is. Now the last name is going to change from student to student, but that's what we're going to save it as. So we got our file right here. New file, once again, saves automatically when you click back on Onshape, and we always will have it. So the first figure we're going to make is a prism. So we're going to have to do 3 different sketches here, and each sketch is going to have a new figure. So the first sketch is going to be, we want to print the bottom of this prism. Now it's a 1/2 inch by 1 1/8 inches by 3 1/2. 3 1/2 is obviously the height. That's the one that we're going to extrude. So we're going to sketch on the top plane once again, and we click sketch top plane. Now I'm just going to drag this out so it's not my way. I'm going to create a corner rectangle. I'm going to use the origin and I'm going to drag it out. And my piece is going to be, let's see, we'll go 0.5, enter, and then my width is 1.125. It doesn't matter which way you go. If you do it the other way, it's okay as well, because you just want a rectangle. Now notice right here my dimensions kind of look ugly. You can always pull the dimensions out. This is for a later exercise. They look a little nicer. But anyway, we got our bottom rectangle. I hit there, and then I hit my top piece so I could see a 3D view of it. And I got a little rectangle here. Now I want to extrude this thing 3.5 inches. So I go to the extrude button, I click on my rectangle, and I take my one, I highlight it, and I put 3.5. Notice I don't have to put inches, it's just going to assume inches because that's the unit that we've been using. I hit enter and it extrudes it up. I hit my check mark and I am finished. So I have my first sketch all done. Alright, this is my prism. If you want to, you don't have to. If I click on sketch here, I can always go back to the sketch and change it. I can also click on this little marker and say I want to call this sketch prism. So now that I know my first sketch is going to be my prism, and I extrude it. Now really the important part is that it says part 1 down here. Alright, so that's the first piece. And I'm going to name all these just to make them easy. So I'm going to go to my second sketch now. Now for this sketch, you can't sketch from the top up because it's a triangle. So I have to sketch from either the front or the right hand side. I like to always sketch things from the front, so I can just click on these little sides to get to the word front, and then I can click on these arrows. If I click on these arrows, notice it spins around in circles. When I get to around front, I click the word front. And when I click my plane, I'm going to sketch to the front plane. Alright, so now I got my front plane, and I want to sketch a triangle. Now this triangle is 1 1/8 by 1 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, and then the diagonal you really don't need to worry about. So I'm going to click on a line. I don't want to have my line by this, so I'm just going to put it next to it. But I am going to use the x-axis as a starting point. I'm going to drag it up, and then I'm going to hit my 1.125. All right, now you notice it drags out. I don't want to try to guess what this is, so I just hit escape. I'm going to draw another line. When I get towards this point, notice it gets highlighted. That's what I want because I want it connected. When I go towards this axis, notice it gets like this and it kind of clicks into it. I click onto it, 1.125, and I hit enter. All right, now I can use this one here. I want to connect these 2 points, and they're connected. When everything is connected, what you'll notice is, I'll hit enter, you will notice that this has, and I hit escape just to get that out of there. I'm going to drag that out. If I click on this, it'll highlight them all. That means it's a closed figure. You always want a closed figure. So now I'm going to click on my triangle. I'm going to click on my top corner, and now I'm going to extrude this. I click on my triangle, I hit the extrude button, and how much do I want to extrude it? 1.125. So I go over here, I highlight it, 1.125, I hit enter, and it's extruded. Now say I want to go in the same direction as this rectangle, because I kind of want them lined up. I can do, instead of 1.125, I can make this a negative 1.125. And what happens there is it just extrudes it in the other direction. I kind of like that better because I'm a little OCD and want things matched up. So now I hit a check mark, and now I have my first 2 figures. I got my rectangle, rectangular prism, and I got my triangular prism. You know what? I'm going to double click on my sketch. I'm going to rename this triangular prism, just so I know if I ever want to go back to do it, and I hit enter. Now notice part 1 is my extruded part of my prism. Part 2 is the extruded part, of the triangle. So now I'm going to create part 3, which is going to be my cylinder. Now the cylinder is pretty easy. I'm just going to do another sketch. If you want, you can actually, instead of hitting top here, I can hit the top right there and have it sketch right on that top plane. The problem is I really want to see what I'm sketching, so that's why I go there. Hit my green check mark. Now we're sketching here. Where we're at. Extrude, extrude. Now notice what happens here. I have 2 sketches. I made too many. So I'm going to double click on the sketch, so I go back here. By accident, I hit the green check mark. I don't want to do that. But you can always just double click in to get back into your sketch. It's on the top plane, which is where I want. I am going to hit a circle. I could do center point or 3-point. Center point's fine. I'm going to use my origin. I'm just going to drag this out. And my diameter is 1 1/8. So I hit 1.125. Enter. So now I got my circle. I can close my sketch. You know what? Maybe I want to come back in here and rename it. I'm going to call this a cylinder. Once again, this is just for me to keep everything organized so I know what everything is. I click on my top right figure. Now I can't really see this, so I'm just going to click on different top right figures. There we go. And now I can. Notice you go right through these other things. Wait for it to light up orange. Hit your extrude. All right, we're extruding the face of the cylinder, which is good. I want to go up because I want it to be with the rest. And we're extruding it 2.313 inches. So 2 313 thousandths of an inch. 2.313. All right, I am going to hit the check mark button. And there we go. I have my cylinder. All right. Now I have all 3 parts. There's a couple things you may want to do here. First off, if you want to move these, say I want to get the cylinder in line with these, I can click on the top button. The way to move them is a geometric figure, and that geometric rule is called transformation. So we got modify, we got linear pattern, we got fillet, thicken, loft, all this stuff. We got plane. So if I click down on plane, you can see a bunch of other things here. If I click down on this, you have more pieces. This is sheet metal. We're not really dealing with any sheet metal. This one, modify. Well, you got move face there. Now, on this one, which says Boolean, you have split and transform. That's the one we want. So we click on transform. If this whole thing was all extended, it'd be a little bit better. So if I click on this part, the translate you want to do is by the XYZ. So when you translate by XYZ, it gives you perfectly nice pieces where I can just take this. I can slide this up, maybe move it down a little bit. All right. You can actually do numbers here. Say I want to move this up like 0.56. All right. You can move it over left and right at the same time if you want. Like I said, you don't have to though. And then I can just hit my mark, and now they're all pretty much lined up. All right. Another neat thing that you could do is if I click on the part and I click with 2 fingers or a right click, I could do edit appearance. So I can actually take my first part and turn it yellow. All right, I can go to part 2. Say I want to hit this and I want to edit this appearance. Maybe I want it purple. You could turn it purple. I can go to part 3. I can edit this appearance by hitting my 2 fingers here, edit appearance, and I can pick any color I pretty much want. All right, you can go to custom colors as well. You can go to the mixer and actually pick anything in here. You can take that. You can go with transparency if you want that. And you can do some pretty neat things. But in the end, you want to just pick a color that looks nice to you. I'm going to rotate mine around a little bit. I like that. Control-Shift-4. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to screenshot my picture. And then, as you can see, it comes here. I'm going to upload that to Canvas. So we are done creating our figures. We got our prism, our rectangular prism, triangular prism, and cylinder. I have the parts, and that's how I do that. If I want to do them all together, I can change their colors all at the same time. And then we can also make things from this as well. But this was the second lesson. It was fairly simple. And now we're going to move on to the putting things together.